Hey guys, welcome back here to this second last stop in our Megadeth album review series. Of course, we are talking about the 2016 album, the very critically acclaimed album, Dystopia. And this is quite the big difference from the last album, of course, the very controversial Super Collider that we talked about. But now we've hopped back into just some more classic, heavy, all-out thrash metal stuff here with Megadeth. And, of course, we got new and current guitar player. New at this time, of course, Kiko Loreo. Hard to say, but Kiko Loreo. And what an awesome addition to the band. You know, he's hell of a shredder, knows exactly what the hell he's doing. I think he fits in the band, and him and Dave have some awesome, trade-off solos and stuff throughout here. And I think he's a great fit for the band for sure. And with all that, let's kick this thing off with one of my favorite tracks right off the bat. We're talking about "The Threat Is Real," which really sets the tone for this thing. I mean, you just like the title track says, there's a dystopia going on here, and I love this album cover. Very cool. This one again just really sets the tone. It's very fast paced, very heavy. The production's incredible on here, and you see that right off the bat with this one. And it's just, there's the sense of urgency and such a good grinding riff that's going on this track that kind of gives you a feel of what this thing's gonna all be about. And "The Threat Is Real" has always been one of my favorites off this album for sure. I was very impressed ever since the first time I heard that track. Then we go with the title track, another one of my favorites off here as well. This one, I mean, man, you got a shred fest here between Keiko and or Kiko, however you say it, and Dave. Of course, you have the chorus, which is hooky in its own right, but the main deal here for me is just these all around this track. You've got just shred fest going on behind it, and trading off solos. You've got an awesome riff accompanied with those. And I think this is a really, really solid title track here that, again, fits the theme of the album, fits that album cover really well, especially it being the title track. You think of a dystopia when you hear some of these crazy, just chaotic licks and shredding going on here. So just another awesome song, one of my favorites off here. Then we go with, it's hard to say, this might be my favorite off here. It's hard to say. This is one of them, if not. "Fatal Illusion." Man, what a song. You got David Ellison on here thumping that bass along with just an awesome lick going on at kind of early on in the intro, and just such a groove with this one. Really, really like this track. It's another fast-paced one, keeps the pace going. They're chugging along. I like the lyrics, which again thematically go along with like dystopia, government takeover, a lot of the stuff that Megadeth talks about, which is always cool and everything. And this heavily dives into that with a lot of stuff here off this album. Same with the track being discussed here with "Fatal Illusion." So very cool song, one of my favorites off here. And I think the bass work again really shines on this track, and that riff is just heaviness to its core. Then we go with "Death from Within." This is another solid one here. I really like the chorus in this one, as well as, again, just Kiko being a superstar, showing how much he fits in the band. And, these Megadeth have had a slew of guitar players over the years, and it's crazy to think that Kiko Loreo, it'll only be his third album with the band coming up with this latest album. But, of course, he's been in the band a while, touring. I mean, over almost 10 years now. But, I think he just really fits the band. And this album, and this track here with "Death from Within" is one that really is showing that off yet again, just how well he fits in the band here. And I think there's some cool little time changes and stuff and some shifts going on here in "Death from Within," and another very, very cool track. Then we go with "Bullet to the Brain," and I'd say this is maybe one of my least favorites. I still like it, still a fun thrasher. It's got a good hook to it and everything. Got some interesting lyrics for sure. but just not for whatever reason, it's never been one of my favorites off here. But again, I do like it. I think it's a solid track, but it just kind of falls with, towards the upper end of the bottom. If I had to say, kind of where this thing would scale. Then we go with Post American World, and this one's solid enough. I would say this one, besides maybe another one, this might be my least favorite. I'll go ahead. I'll say it's my least favorite of original material on here, right? And I don't think it's a bad song at all, which should tell you everything you need to know about the album. How awesome it is. But it's just compared to a lot of the stuff on here, this one is not my favorite. It's not as hooky as maybe some of these other ones going on, but it does keep the pace going and keeps the theme going, and I think it's a decent enough track, just not one of my favorites. Now, this one and Fatal Illusion are the ones that kind of compete for that number one spot, but Poisonous Shadows, come on. This track is too good, man. Love it. This is, I think, the longest track off here. Really kind of feels like an epic, even though it's 7 minutes, which is, again, the longest track on this album. And I love the, some of the acoustic kind of stuff going on. The piano at the end of the track is really cool. Just feels like a good finishing touch. In fact, I think this maybe would have worked better as a closing track than maybe what we got on here. But Poisonous Shadows is an absolute highlight. It's always been my favorite off here. And again, there's just maybe one or two that really creep up upon taking that spot on the throne as my favorite. But, even just thinking about it right now, Poisonous Shadows has got to be my favorite off here. It's got a really hooky chorus. Just love this one. Love all the, just the kind of the story it tells. Then we go with Conquer or Die, which is a really cool instrumental. It starts off, with acoustic guitar shredding and playing, and just really cool and really beautiful in a kind of a dark way. Then, of course, it picks up, gets real heavy, and goes wild and runs with it. And I think it leads perfectly into another one that's among my favorites here with Lying in State. This one is just chuggy, man. It just has such a visceral feel to it. Lying in State is one of my favorites, no doubt in my mind. I really like the chorus in this one as well. One of the hookier tracks, I'd say, for me. And as far as like the melody goes and the chorus and everything. But just a heavy hitter of a track that just chugs along. The drums and everything are just fast-paced, thrashing it on this thing. Then our second last track here is The Emperor, and this one I forgot about, and it's a really fun track. I like the lyrics; they're kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit here and there, and it also has one of the hookier choruses that'll really stick out in your mind, really melodic, and I like I would have even preferred this be the closer than what we got, which to wrap it up here, the track Foreign Policy, which is a cover track by some hardcore punk band, Fear. And if y'all know me, I don't really care about punk music, don't really like it. But, it has its place on here. It's a short little track or whatever. I don't think it's bad, right? This cover. Just kind of shouts a lot. We've got Foreign Policy or whatever. And, I think it's got its place in the album because it fits the theme. But I think maybe you could have thrown it somewhere in the middle. I don't think it should have really closed the album, and it's definitely my least favorite off here. It's the quickest, shortest, to the point track. It's a cover, and I would have been okay even if it was just left off the album entirely. I forgot there was even a cover on here. It had been a minute since I listened to this thing, but overall, guys, this is a great album for sure. I do think, and this might be controversial or whatever, but I do think it gets overrated a lot by people, at least in my opinion. I've seen people jump this sucker up just high amongst the rankings, like insanely high. And I think it's a great album. It's a great return to form. However, I think maybe there, how do I put it? I feel like there maybe could have just been a little more to it, if that makes any sense. Like maybe just another track or two that would really blow me away. It would really send it over the top. But and again, I'm not shitting on the album or nothing. I think it's an awesome album. It's a great album. But I do think it gets overrated. People, act, or think in their mind, which is cool and everything. I get it, I respect it. They think it's more of a masterpiece and things like that, and I understand that, but just not to me. And I think maybe some of that potentially had to do with them, kind of straying far off on the last album and then hopping back into this, which made people be like, oh my gosh, they're back, their true sound and everything. But and I do think, again, it's a great album, but definitely in my eyes overrated. And I'd love to see if where your guys' thoughts are on this one. Is, again, most people are all about it, rank it, shoot it way up to the top in their rankings, and which we'll see about my rankings. We're getting closer to that. As next time, of course, we're going to have our final Megadeth album review and then do the rankings, of course, when that new album comes out, which I don't know that we have a release date yet. We haven't even had a single yet of it, but when that comes out, as we know, when a new release comes out for a band, I'll review that new album and then do a ranking video with that album included in there. So don't worry about that, but we are going to get to the sick, the dying, and the dead next time, so stay tuned for that. And I really want to hear some of your guys' thoughts on this album. Is it overrated to you? Do you think it's a masterpiece? Do you not? Do you think it sucks? I'm of the opinion, I think it's a great album, but I do think it's overrated. But yeah, I do definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about that. So stay tuned, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment, and thanks for watching.